Can you beat the original Resident Evil 4 without shooting a single bullet?
Resident Evil 4.
We start in the village, which was the easy part. No, really, I survived the village attack knife only on my first attempt, even if I did take a couple of hits. Turns out though, that luck wouldn't last very long for me.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
And from there we entered the farm, which, as trivial as this section may seem, this was one of the most important areas of the entire challenge because of eggs. And while eggs would be an extremely essential part of this run, what I failed to realize was that hand grenades were way more important. In fact, you'll soon find out that this challenge was like an endless chase for the missing hand grenade. So I made some room in my case to farm a ton of eggs and then ventured off to rescue Luis. I sprinted my way past most of the enemies pretty much all the way to Del Lago, who went down pretty easily. As this run was developing, the wooden boxes right after Del Lago were one area I was worried about. Normally, as most of you know, you shoot the 3 boxes down and then use them to jump across the water. But you can also do it with a few grenade throws. At this point, you might be wondering about other areas later on, like the turret Z-lot, the clock tower wood pieces, the water room, and every time I would ask myself one of these questions, RE4 legend Spiral Out had the answer. This man not only is the only other person to upload this challenge, but he also did it hitless, which I am not subjecting myself to.
And you want to do this run too? Good luck, Evan. You'll need it. Oh, one piece of advice. Don't get carried away and use too many grenades.
Massive shout out to Spiral Out, because if it weren't for him, I'd be the one spiraling out. Back to the wooden boxes though, while these grenades were essential for continuing the run, what wasn't essential was using a grenade on a fucking tripwire. That's right, in the house we rescued Luis, my dumbass wasted a grenade on a tripwire instead of using an egg. I actually have footage of me blowing it up with an egg, reloading my save, and then continuing to waste the grenade instead. Thankfully though, that same area had a hand grenade I missed the first time through.
Oh my god, I found the grenade! Let's go!
This one mistake basically messed up the entire run. We are back with said grenade now, which allows me to get the insignia for the church and move on to Mr. El Gigante, who does go down without too much of a fight, and we finally get Ashley. Before I knew it, I was at the cabin, which was another section I was worried about. How the hell do you survive the cabin without shooting a gun? You don't. Unless you buy the shotgun and stay with me here, shove Luis into the corner, then aim at him to use him as zombie bait. Sorry, Luis. When we aim at him, he is forced into a crouch where he will then be grabbed by an enemy on the stairs before he kicks them off. Repeating this process will result eventually in enough time passing and the fight ending. It's still not as easy as it looks though, and even I got a little too eager, using yet another unnecessary hand grenade. But after 3 long hours, I had done it.
So, what do we do now?
Next up, I chose the El Gigante side of the 2 path options because, obviously, which leads us to the lift and then already the final boss of the village, Chief Mendez. This was the first real fight of this run and was only a taste of what I had coming next. The strategy here in the first phase was to hang around the top of the ladder, bait an attack, jump down to use the iframes to not take damage, knife him a few times, and repeat until the second phase. And in the second phase, the strategy was to basically always be opposite to him, knifing him only when he moves closer to you and repeating the process. Overall, I would say that this fight was, at worst, just really tedious. Doable, but tedious.
We get it, let's fucking go! Let's fucking go, dude!
So we collect his eyeball high-tech key thing, hit this truck driver with an egg to the dome, and move on to the castle. I knew going in that the castle was likely going to be where things got a lot more complicated. Not only is it the longest area based off pure length, but we also have to deal with guard door number 1, the water room, turret Z-lot, guard door number 2, rescuing Ashley from the trap, the 6 armored knights, releasing the drawbridge, clock tower, guard doors number 3 and 4, the unknifable spike ceiling, the minecart, the lift, and Salazar. Ironically though, it started off surprisingly peaceful. You crank the cannon up while utilizing iframes, switch the swords, grab the key, make sure to tell Salazar,
No thanks, bro.
and suddenly we're looking at guard door number 1. Thankfully though, this didn't take that long. If done correctly, you can endlessly knife the Plaga on his back. It does take some practice, but after 17 hits, guard door number 1 is down for the count.
Hey, let's go, we did it.
And that leads into, quite possibly, the hardest section of this entire video, the water room. Do I really need to say anything about it? The water room is already tough on professional difficulty, so take that and multiply it by about 1,000. So we've got two sections here. In the first section, we have to get through a line of defense which includes 7 zealots, plus 1 archer on each balcony with our goal to activate a crank. In the second section, Ashley is out of reach and has to use 2 cranks, all with hordes of enemies on her floor and on mine. The plan was to run to one side, dodge any grabs, step on the switches in the back room, bob and weave through some more enemies, knifing when needed, and have Ashley turn the crank. This turned out to be so much more complicated than I expected. To absolutely no one's surprise, Ashley would not stop getting captured, hit, or stuck way behind me. I had to keep reloading my save here to get a run I was happy with. Eventually, I was able to finesse some enemies as well as leave the room to reset the zealots back to their original places. This allowed me to sneak behind them, toss a grenade, and have Ashley use the crank. Dodging the scythe zealots and getting to the top of the stairs triggers a cutscene for the second section, which allows me to reset from the menu to clear out every enemy. But this is where things get really crazy. You remember how I farmed all those eggs back in the beginning? Well, this is where we cook. No, not like that. Like this. Tossing eggs allows us to stun the enemies going for Ashley. Doing this without a throw reticle though was extremely difficult, as no throw was ever perfect and I kept on dying. Attempt after attempt, I just could not get there. I was honestly starting to lose some hope. I could not land any egg tosses when Ashley got captured. I missed so many grenade throws, I kept getting killed. That was until this. Let's go. Come on, Ashley. Oh my god. Come on, Ashley. Oh my god. Fuck. Oh my god, I fucking got her. I have no fucking heals. Oh my god. Please, please, please. It's alright. It's alright. Oh my god. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Come on, Ashley. Oh my god. Dude, if I can fucking reset right now. Did I just do that? Did I just fucking do that? No. Are they gone? Are they gone? Did I just do that? The fact that I was not only able to get her down from the second floor, but also out of the room to reset, chef's kiss. The part I was dreading the most was finally over, but our job was still not done. With that out of the way, we worked our way through Novista doors to the turret room. As we all know, once the zealot gets on the turret, it's game over. But with a little strategy, you can trap him if you jump to the first floor before he gets there, run up behind him, and knife away. Or get grabbed and kick his head clean off his shoulders like I did instead. Thankfully, we make quick work of Salazar and his goons, move on to the maze, and then run into Ada. With that done, Luis gets killed by Sadler, and we need to get Ashley back, both two very unfortunate realities. But we can in fact free Ashley without shooting the metal bars with a really precise grenade toss. Even just a hair too close to her, it's game over. After 2 flashes, 5 incendiary, and reluctantly 1 additional hand grenade, she was able to grab the key, leaving me currently with no hand grenades to my name. Ashley's section was about as easy as you would expect. I egged the enemies off the dragons in the lava room, slashed the 4 red lights on the spiked ceiling, and egged the 2 guys on the drill machine. So that meant I had to deal with the armored knights next. Surprisingly, you can do this entire thing knife only, but of course, I didn't have the patience for that, so I used 3 flash grenades for the plagas. However, I had just realized something that could change the entire run once again. At this moment, I have 1 hand grenade, which I need for the drawbridge. Thankfully, there is a guaranteed hand grenade inside Clock Tower, but I'm gonna need 2 to destroy the wood. meaning I was still 1 grenade short. This could literally make or break the entire run. I killed enemies for potential drops, backtracked, and scoured in desperate search of just 1 more grenade, but I had no luck. I really did think this was the end of the run once again. Dozens of hours wasted, but I kept pushing.
Well, can't say I didn't warn you.
My next move was to keep reloading saves using the group of zealots at the end of the hall to my advantage. Getting tired of it really quickly, I did some digging and found out some crucial details. Apparently, depending on your loadout, you may have better chances of spawning or not spawning certain items from boxes, and as I understand it, from enemies too. To better explain, my attaché case looked like this when I started reloading saves, but it soon looked like this instead. And after over 5 hours of reloading my save and optimizing my case, I finally got a hand grenade to spawn.
Oh my god, I fucking got one. Oh my god, I just fucking got one.
I'm not sure if the broken butterfly necessarily helped here, but the blacktail certainly did. From what I understand, carrying no weapons at all was almost like a toss-up. The game didn't really know what to give you, as a lot of the time it was just money, which I certainly did not need any more of. But with the addition of the blacktail, the handgun ammo drop dramatically increased. Coincidentally, I believe this causes the probability of grenade drops to increase as well. The actual ammo amount is also important, as too much of it lowers my chances, including what was already loaded into the gun, so it was a careful balance of having some, but also not too much. That means I can move on knowing I have enough grenades in the short run, but in the back of my mind, I knew I was still short. After Ashley gets captured once again, we knife the Novistador strategically from the other side of this window, which then brings us to lowering the drawbridge. This is easily one of, if not the, most precise throw in the run. But I guess I got lucky because it only took me 9 tries. The clock tower grenade throws were a bit easier than they seemed at first, and not only was I able to spawn a flash grenade on the bridge, from the grace of God himself, I was also able to spawn another hand grenade, bringing the count back up to 1, and before I knew it, I was fighting 2 Guardors at once. By this point, I was definitely more comfortable knifing the Guardors, and while it wasn't easy, it took less time than I expected at less than an hour. After Leon doesn't
Fall for this old trick.
we cheesed the hell out of Verdugo with a door for about 5 minutes before moving on to the mines. The mines were pretty straightforward, and I was able to take advantage of the hand grenade drops as well as spawn yet another one from an enemy, taking the total to 4. Double El Gigante was simple, dropping one into the lava, and then knifing the other one until he's dead. I ran through Novistadors, past the villagers to get the key to the mine, and our 5th hand grenade, which leads directly into the 2nd spiked ceiling. This is yet another one of those rooms you might be questioning. That's because it does not allow the corners to be knifed like the last one. So how will we progress? Another grenade, obviously. This one also has to be placed perfectly, with the idea to bounce it off the back wall up and over the ceiling in equal distance to each weak point. The parasites made this much more irritating, but once it's done, we're on to the minecart.
Oh my god, I got it.
We have to use a minimum of 2 grenades here, 1 for each of the levers, and I wasn't even trying to get one, but was able to get another hand grenade to drop randomly.
Oh my god, oh my god. I got a fucking hand grenade.
I knew that if I died during this attempt, that would not be happening again, and could literally be the difference between finishing this run and being 1 grenade short of doing so I had to be careful. And I kid you not when I say that Dr. Salvador was on my ass in the same cart as me with his chainsaw to my neck during the final section of the riot.
I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. Oh my god, I just fucking did it. No way. Dude, I thought I was fucking dead. I thought I was dead.
To my surprise though, the enemies I guess won't actually attack during this part, or maybe he just had a change of heart, but whatever it was, he let me fly away and even sacrificed himself to the pits of hell for me. Thank you, Dr. Salvador. Now, all that's left between us and freedom from the castle is Salazar's ego-filled statue, the lift to the top of the tower, and finally, the little man himself. The statue was the easy part since I was able to knife and dodge my way through without many issues. The lift didn't go exactly as I had hoped, as I ended up taking a fair amount of hits and using some spare flash grenades, but at this point I just wanted to get as far as possible and deal with the consequences later. The showdown with Salazar though, this was an entirely different beast. Normal players take one look at Salazar and think, yeah, he's impossible to get past without a gun.
I say, let's waste 3 years of my life just to prove everyone wrong.
The key to this fight, that would be the striker.
But Evan, you're not allowed to shoot.
I don't need to shoot. Thanks to the trusty Ditman glitch, which turns Leon into the next Usain Bolt by giving him 1.5 times his normal speed, as well as a little frame rate manipulation, we should be able to exploit our way past him. The idea is to change your frame rate to 30 FPS, enable Ditman, run to a very specific, and I mean almost frame perfect spot on the second floor, jump down, and you should be floating in the air, allowing you to walk right through the guy and open the door. While there is some frame tolerance with positioning, this took me almost 2 hours to get down. But when I did, I finally had a good feeling I could finish this challenge. As we moved on to the final section of the game, I still had some doubt in my mind. That's because after doing some calculations, I would still be just 1 grenade short. Completion of this challenge was still not guaranteed. Most of the island is very straightforward. We pretty much zoom past everyone, and our first obstacle wouldn't be until the garage door. Calling it an obstacle is actually an overstatement, but I really did think I could outsmart Spiral Out and get through this without a grenade. And I thought wrong, cause I had to use one here. Not needing the thermal scope for the regenerators actually made it much easier as well, since that meant I didn't have to get locked in the room with one, and before I knew it, we were fighting the Iron Maiden for the keycard. The recommended strategy for this was to bait and only bait the Iron Maiden's arm swing attack and then attack his legs and repeat until he's on the ground, where you'd continue to knife him. On only my 5th attempt, I was able to get him to fall to the ground after only 1 knife slash to the leg, so he was down for the count. Running back through the previous areas, we then acquire Ashley again. Not getting hit was proving to be very difficult considering all the guys outside of her room and in the control room, but hitting the switch, leaving her alone, and then triggering the cutscene actually saves us so much stress. And with that comes another exploit I had no idea about. In the Wrecking Ball room, you have to make Ashley crouch at the top by aiming your knife and then jump down. From here, you have to keep intermittently aiming the knife and moving forward every half second or so, which makes Ashley stay crouched behind you and not trigger the enemies to spawn. Once you get to the lever, you can stop aiming, Ashley will jump down undetected, you can pull it 3 times, and voila. After dodging a couple more regenerators and asking myself why their butts are so big, we move on to the bulldozer, which I actually had enough grenades for. However, I would still be short for the U3 fight coming up soon. After a narrow escape, we enter Chapter 5-3, where Ashley is immediately taken again by Sadler. Meanwhile, Krauser and Ada argue over who's the bigger simp for Wesker, and we are met with our last opportunity to spawn the final necessary hand grenade. It all came down to this moment. And it wasn't very hard because it only took me about 20 minutes to get one to drop, but my work was still far from over. Next up, I had to show Krauser some of my covert maneuvers, although he probably has me beat in that department, and then show off once more in the laser room. Leon must have been really on top of all those gymnastic classes before he left for Spain. After catching our breath from all that backflipping by taking a quick rest, we reached the U3 fight. I honestly thought this portion would be a lot harder, but no, these were actually some of the most consistent grenade tosses in the whole run. The first one just has to be in the general direction of the button, and the second one is a layup right in front of the door. The second phase was pretty straightforward as well. I was able to do this with no grenades, and once I was in the groove of the knife timing, it was pretty much game over for this fella. But pretty much immediately after that is Krauser. Now here's the thing about Krauser. You would probably think that Mr. Juiced Up ex-military with 5 too many injections of PEDs, along with a mutation that looks like a fucking Swiss Army knife, would not be fazed at all by a knife of this size. Well, you thought wrong. This guy's weakness is the knife. So, needless to say, that fight didn't last very long. And that brings us to the military base. The first part was easy. Dodge the turret and the archer, toss a hand grenade to kill the enemies and destroy the door lock, go up the ladder to trigger the checkpoint, reset from the checkpoint, bada bing, bada boom. The second part, however, was a bit more difficult. Admittedly, this did take me longer than it should have. But in all fairness, I was trying to do it once again with no grenades, and I'm glad I was patient because after trial and error, I figured something out that I had never seen before. For some reason, if you kill most of the enemies before trying to go out and kill the turret guys, and wait long enough, Mike will actually come in clutch and destroy the turrets for you, which allowed me to use both levers and just knife the third turret without getting hit from the top. But unfortunately, our time with Mike comes to a close in the next cutscene when Sadler takes him out and then has yet another monologue. We meet up with Ada once again. The last regenerator tries to give me a hug, but I said nah, booked it, and ran straight into these fellas instead. This last military section was definitely a struggle. Spiral Out's method for the beginning was basically the same one I used. The idea was to run in between the two enemies to the right while dodging their attacks, do a quick turn, hug the wall, and go in a loop once to round everyone up, go up the first ladder, hit the switch to spawn the keycard, go up the second ladder, kill the keycard enemy before being hit from behind, grab it, and get the hell out of there. Seems easy enough, right?
Wrong.
This part actually took me over 2 hours. The timing is so precise, and you have to get pretty lucky with some of the enemy movement, and I still ended up taking 4 hits. After saving Ashley for the final time, fighting a few more hooligans, and then removing the parasite, the final act begins. Everything comes down to this. The strat with Sadler, like pretty much everything else, seems pretty easy on the surface. I just gotta knife all the eyes on his legs and then the one in his mouth. Well, guess what? Not only does his 2 front legs have to be hit twice each, hitting his back legs before he turns around turned out to be incredibly annoying. And every time you walk next to him, his plagas will likely hit you, which gets annoying after about 3 times. At first, I thought I could do it without too much reference, but I soon realized I needed Spiral Out's help one last time. After switching to keyboard and mouse to aim much quicker, I was finally ready. Run up, knife the left leg, knife the mouth eye twice, and then jump on him for extra damage. Same thing on the right, which was harder because the eye was higher. Now for the back legs. I used Spiral Out's strategy of basically standing in front of him, baiting an attack, and running to each side of him to hit the eye before he turned around. Luckily, these eyes only require 1 hit each, so boom and boom.
Now that the hard part was done, I just had to keep knifing the main eye and jumping on top of him. And after what felt like an eternity,
Sadler was finally down, Ada casually points a gun to my head before flying away, and we make our grand escape on a jet ski. And just like that, the Resident Evil 4 No Shots Fired run is officially complete with a 0% hit ratio.
Almost 3 years and 500 gigabytes of footage later, it feels so good to say that.
Sure, I did take some hits along the way, unlike the Madman Spiral Out, but this challenge was about as hard as it gets. In the end though, that's exactly what this challenge was about. Determination. You too can save the president's daughter from an evil cult and be a pacifist at the same time. Well, a pacifist with a handful of exceptions.
If you've made it this far, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below which crazy challenge I should try next. And by the time you're seeing this, Leon has already made his triumphant return in Resident Evil Requiem. And this time, I'll be making sure he's using his full arsenal. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.